Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time once again for another episode of Our Community, where our community is your community, the Hispanic community here in Orange County, powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, with the only man who knows everybody, Mr. OC John Gutierrez. Welcome,
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Paul Roberts. We really appreciate you for that Mr. OC title. And again, welcome everybody to our community podcast show powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm your host, Senior Vice President John Gutierrez. We have with us another superstar guest who's been a longtime member of ours, Miss Maria Luisa Case, who is a farmer's insurance business owner. That's how she joined our chamber years ago. And she's been very involved with us. And she's back because she's also involved with her foundation, which is the Kompashion Foundation. And we're going to talk about this great event she's got going on with our chamber and Mr. John Amador, who's our former chairman of our board. Many of you know him, on June 29th, which is the Emotional Wellness Fiesta, with an amazing keynote speaker, Mr. Trent Shelton. Again, that's June 29th. We'll get more into the event itself. It's going to be at Santa College at 10 a.m. Welcome, Maria Case.
Thank you guys for having me. This is amazing. It's an honor to be here.
Okay, can we get more volume? Are we good, Mr. Paul Roberts? I just want to make sure.
She's just speaking softly.
There you go.
Oh.
Don't be scared of that mic, Maria. All right. Well, we're going to go into this event, and what an amazing event this is going to be, because it focuses, of course, the title is Emotional Wellness Fiesta, but it focuses on a lot of mental health situations and challenges, right?
That's right.
And I know you have an amazing story behind all this, and why this is something you were, of course, I guess you could say, compassionate about, motivated to do this, right?
Absolutely.
And we're definitely going to get into that. But we want to always, a little bit with our guests, share with who you are, and if you want to share a little bit about yourself, and obviously how you got to this point in your career. And then we're going to get into this event, which is going to be a great event, guys. So Trent Shelton has millions and millions of followers, and he's a keynote speaker of the event. And again, that's June 29th at Santa College at 10 a.m.
And what's the book he wrote? He wrote some book.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody
The
talked
book
about.
is Protecting Your Peace, right, Maria?
Protect your peace.
Yes. And we'll get into that too, right? So share a little bit with us about yourself, if you don't mind,
Yeah,
Maria.
absolutely. So again, my name is Maria Luisa Case. I'm an owner of Farmers Insurance Agency. That's how I actually started joining the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And it's actually a full circle moment. I don't know if you remember, but about 5 years ago, right when I started being a part of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, I actually had a near-death experience. And
Wow.
that's how it all started. And nobody knew, of course, because those type of things is something you just shared. You don't share, you're kind of going through it. You don't know how to get through it. And I remember going to a chamber event. It was at Cambalache. I don't know if you remember in
Yeah.
Fountain Valley.
Yeah.
And you guys had a coach from Tony Robbins. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I remember they were selling these tickets for a business seminar, and they were selling it. I was like, you can get to another level of your business. You're going to learn all the marketing tools. And I was like, okay, well, you can always learn business, right? Why not? So my husband and I signed up, and we were excited to learn. And when I got there, it was nothing about business and all about like yourself and tapping into like where you come from, and really like starting the healing journey and owning like where you come from.
Personal growth.
It was all personal growth. I had no idea. So like there's a lot of things that I had gone through in my childhood that I blocked out of my life that I just didn't know were affecting me as a person, as an adult, in business and life and relationships. And that's when I was like, wow, like there's a new world out that people need to know about. And that's when it started. And I was so addicted to learning more about the things that I blocked out of my life.
And I think that's important that we accept, especially there's like a stigma, right? In our Hispanic community, of course, we're the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And there's always this kind of like stigma about therapy or therapist. I know ever since this event has been being organized, I know when I talk to people about that, it's almost like they don't want to go there. They don't want to talk about
Yeah.
like therapy. And it was interesting because I just saw a video the other day on social media of Tom Brady, how he's been under therapy like his whole life.
Yeah.
And he said that as a great quarterback, he said, personally, having a therapist has helped me my whole life, as a personal growth.
Absolutely.
Right. And so you feel that is what happened to you, huh?
Absolutely. And I feel like therapy is not for everyone. Like I love therapy. I have one myself. I'm actually doing EMDR right now. And I feel like because of the stigma, it took me a long time to go to therapy. And it was actually my husband that suggested going to therapy because, we grew up completely different. He grew up in New York, suburb, little town. I grew up in Santa Ana, completely different lifestyles. So when we were married for 5 years and we just didn't really understand each other and we didn't really know. And then when I started tapping into like my childhood and why I was reacting to certain things, I realized that it was affecting me in everyday life. So the reason why I say that therapy is not for everyone is because there is other modalities that you can get started that you don't have to talk about it, because sometimes it can be a little traumatizing to go back and talk about those things, but there's different ways that you can take care of yourself. Like, for example, sound healing, sound baths, there's breath work, there's just so many things. And we'll talk about it a little more when we talk about the event, but this is something that I want to bring so people know that there's other tools and you don't have to talk about it if you're not ready for it.
I love that you say you don't have to talk about it if you're not ready for it, and that there's other options.
Right.
Because I think in any type of personal growth, as people, we're so different, and we're going to obviously want to deal with our challenges in different ways. Like some people are like, I'm going to go to the gym and work out and get all the stress out.
Right.
Where other people might say, no, I'm just going to go into the cold water, right? And just do the deep breathing,
Right.
and heal myself this way.
Right.
Or, I'm going to go for a good run, right? And so everybody has a different way to heal themselves, right? I know for me personally, my dad was an alcoholic growing up, and a lot of my friends joke with me all the time. They're like, have a beer. Why don't you have a beer? And I'm like, no, I'm good. And they'll put a beer in front of me. And now they call me a waste of a beer. Like they joke with me because I don't want to drink. I don't like to drink.
Right.
But I think obviously it's a reality that my dad's alcoholism played a huge effect in my life.
Absolutely.
And that's why I don't drink, right? Am I against it? No. To each its own. Hey, have a drink, enjoy yourself, right? But me personally, it traumatized me.
Right.
Him being who he was. And so, there's times I've thought about that. Like maybe I need to go get therapy about this because it's really affected me, right? And so I commend you. I really do.
Thank you.
I commend you and I applaud you, because it's hard for us as people to accept that maybe we have this challenge or situation without feeling that guilt of, am I broken?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you find that that's what you found in these events?
Absolutely. And what's interesting is I invested in myself in a very big way in the last 3 years. And I went to all of Tony Robbins' events. I coached with Trent. I did all of his courses and coached one-on-one with him. And every event that I would go to, it was funny. Like whenever we would see there was another Latina, we became instant friends because it was very little Latinos that were there. And and it's interesting on how that needs to change. And that's the reason why we're here. And this is why we're doing what we're doing, because that needs to change. Because I know for me, it was very scary to start sharing all of this and even like having this conversation with like my friends. But the more that you talk about it with the right people, because of course you could talk about it with friends that have nothing, they don't know anything about this, and they're going to judge you and they're going to make you feel worse. And it's not their fault. They just don't really know what's really going on. So I feel like when you put yourself in rooms with people that are understanding and they're doing the work and they understand like what you're going through, it becomes easier, and it's easier for you to talk about it.
And it's interesting you say that, because before the pandemic, Dr. Loria Chua would come to a lot of our events. Who's a dear friend of ours from the chamber, and she would talk about what she does. And it was so interesting because we would all kind of be like, yeah, kind of like not take it like, oh, what do you really do? Or what, And then after the pandemic, it was like, oh, wow, like what she does is important, because we saw what the pandemic did to our kids, right? Or to many people.
All of us.
Right? To all of us that went through that, whatever it's called, cabin fever, or just that change in our lives that we weren't ready for, right? So let me ask you, first of all, let's give a shout out to your husband. You know, good guy. Both of you were very involved in our AC Green Camp right before the pandemic that we did, and you guys all helped out and volunteered, and thank you for that. Something that we did with, you know, AC Green from the Lakers and the Chamber. That was such a cool event, right?
Oh my God. I heard you guys are bringing it back.
We're working on it. I've been working with AC Green on that this last couple of weeks or months. It's different after the pandemic.
Right.
There was a lot. I didn't realize there was a lot of rules and laws that came in through the school district.
Right.
So it's been something that we're working at the moment. Paul has a question.
Just want to invite AC personally anytime. Come on down, buddy.
As soon as we
Love to
have
talk
this,
Lakers.
as soon as we have a date on the AC Green Camp, the kids AC Green Camp that we do, we'll bring them on the show, Paul.
Big Lakers fan.
A big Lakers fan. So I know you own a farmers insurance business. How long have you had that?
14 years.
14 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Long time.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I know you work with just a lot of people in the community, right?
Yeah. And that's honestly like hearing stories of people just telling me what they're going through. I've always been since a kid that person that everyone just confides in when they're going through something. So I felt like this is where compassion comes in. I feel like this has always been within me. And, you know, everything that I went through was for a reason. It was bringing me back to myself. And as tough that it was, as many tears that I had, it was worth it because I'm back to myself and I'm doing something that I love. Like this event, I'm learning so much. I mean, you do events all the time and you know it. There's a lot of energy that goes into putting on an event. And a lot of people are involved, right? But
A lot of moving parts is what I always tell people.
Right. And learning so much.
Yes.
And I wouldn't have it any other way. It's been fun. Like, I love it. You know, like just all the pieces being put together.
Careful, you're going to get hooked. You know what I mean? I got hooked on doing events, and now it's like I got like 10 events going on at once, you know?
Yeah.
It could be overwhelming.
Yeah.
You said, you know, you learned a lot of yourself. Can you share a little bit about, I know there was some challenges growing up with your parents.
Yeah.
I know I've heard you speak about that. Can you share a little bit about that? Because I know that this event has to do a lot with what happened to you growing up with your parents, right?
Absolutely. So it wasn't growing up. It was actually my mother when she was going through menopause.
Okay.
She was going through a deep depression, crying all the time. She was always worried about us, which was normal. She was always, you know, mother. She's always worried like something's going to happen.
Real quick, for those listening, menopause, a lot of people don't know what menopause is. Later stages in your life,
Yes.
right? Like 50s,
Hormone changes.
right?
Yeah. 55.
Yeah, 55.
It
Okay.
was 10 years ago. And she started just going through a deep depression, crying all the time. And we thought it was normal because that's what I did some research on menopause. I talked to her doctor and they said it was normal. She was going through hot flashes and hot, cold all the time. And she was crying all the time. And we were like, okay, this is just, you know, a stage of life that she's going through. And then it just kept getting worse, where one day I got a call from my sister that my mom got home and she threw away all the food in the house. They had just gone to Costco and she threw away everything in the house, saying that, you know, the food was poison, that we were trying to poison her.
Wow.
And I was like, where is she getting that from? Like, it's coming from somewhere. You know, she's feeling this way for a reason. So I work in my office in San Clemente, my farmer's insurance agency in San Clemente. So I drove to my mom's house, lived in Anaheim. And while I was driving there, you know, 45 minutes, it felt like a day. It felt like, because I didn't know what was going on with my mom.
Yeah.
So when I get there, I take her to the emergency room and she was going through psychosis break. They put her on medication and we just did all the testing to see if there was anything else going on, nothing. So then they diagnosed her with psychosis. And then later on through testing and learning more about the disease, we learned that she has schizophrenia. And we went through life for 10 years, not really learning about the illness because of the stigma. And there was times that my mom was lost and she would, because of anxiety, she would go to church and then she'd just keep walking because she was so anxious and she would get lost. So we had to seek, you know, the authorities' help to find her. And that's when everything was like, whoa, like what is going on? You know, she was lost. All of a sudden helicopters are looking for her. There's dogs at our house sniffing her room, trying to find what direction she's going into.
Wow.
And all of us are looking for her and we're lost. We're like, what is going on? And so we went through life like this for 10 years, just going to the doctor and, you know, dealing with these things. Because of the stigma, we never looked for help. And then with my own journey, I was, going to all these retreats, learning from, different people. And I stumbled upon Trent Shelton. And I saw how real he was on social media. That's how I found him. And I was going through a lot during the time. I was going through my own health issues, and my mom was going through a psychotic break. And I needed help for for myself and for my family. So I joined his course, and I did one-on-one coaching for the first time with him. And I learned so much about like just setting boundaries, and how a lot of times we put ourselves in situations where we're breaking our own hearts. And meaning when, like, say for example, someone does something to you and that person has done something similar to you the last time, and you keep allowing them to do it, you're breaking your own heart because they already did it. So they're going to keep doing it because you're allowing it, right? So, and then like setting boundaries, and I just started like completely just changing my whole life and learning. And then one day he had a retreat that he was inviting certain people, and he was a small retreat, 5 people. And we went through an interview process to see if we were ready for it. And they asked questions about like what you're currently struggling with. And for me, it was my mom, like something that was really hard for me to share because of the stigma, how you grow up, and the really, like,
we're always scared to be judged, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. And you hear these things that people say in the family that are the way that you're handling things, that you should handle it differently, but no one really knows how to do it, right? So we just never talked about it. And then when I'm there, I talked about it, and I like started crying, and I was like, and then all of a sudden someone there had a son that had schizophrenia, and I picked her brain, and I was like, okay, what did you guys do to get out of it? And she's like, you need to learn more about the illness, you need a support group. And I came back from that retreat, and I looked for support, and I looked for a Spanish support group in Orange County. We live in South Orange County. There was 0 in Spanish, but in English, there were 5 miles, maybe like 3 of them, 5 miles from my house. And in Spanish, there was 1, and it was in Anaheim.
And this was because your mom?
Because my dad only speaks Spanish.
Okay.
So we went to this Spanish support group. It was actually at my dad's work. He works at a church.
Really?
Yeah. And my dad's like, I never knew it was here. And we were
crazy.
like, wow, how is this possible that this group has been here?
That's great.
But what was crazier, is that there were 6 people there. Wow. My dad and I included.
Like, people don't know about it, basically.
The stigma. People are afraid to go and ask for help and talk about this. So that's what inspired this event. I felt like it was time that we talked about this, the hard stuff, because when you do talk about the hard stuff, like now we're surrounded by so many amazing people, and my mom is doing great. My dad is doing great. I mean, as a caregiver, caregivers need a lot of self-love, Oh yeah. I know, because obviously we own a hospice company. Right. We're in healthcare, and we've been in it for 20 some years. And, we find that when somebody is sick and dying, they're going to do a very good job of lying to the caregiver to protect them. Right.
Right. Studies show that. We see that. Mm-hmm. Because they love that person, and they won't tell them everything. Right. To protect that person. Mm-hmm. Like in this case, your dad could be your mom's caregiver, and you get there to the home, and you'll be like, how's mom? But dad won't tell you everything. Exactly. Because he's trying to protect you. Right. Right. Protect your peace. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he won't share all that with you. Right. But meanwhile, your dad is like falling apart.
Yeah, he's drowning.
And he's going through so much. Mm-hmm. But he won't tell you that. Right. This is hard for me. Right. Because he's trying to protect his daughter, her stress. You know what I mean? Right. We see that a lot. In healthcare, we call it family dynamics. Yeah. We have social workers that come help out from a therapeutical standpoint, to help dad with this situation. Right. So I totally understand what you're talking about. So what happened at that point when you and your dad started attending these, in essence, therapeutic, hopefully, meetings, right? Did that help you all? Absolutely. I mean, now we're part of a community that is so loving and caring, and we're always like checking in on each other. During that time, my mom was not only going through all of these mental health issues, she also had high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes. And I was like, you know what, Dad, we need to do something about it. So did they find that might have been also causing? It's all diet. Really? Yeah. So she was 200 pounds. My mom is shorter than I am. She's 5'1", So I knew she could barely walk. She could barely get out of the car. So I knew I had to do something. So I brought her to live with me.
both my parents, and I put them on a diet. That was so hard. It took a long time, a lot of arguments, but my mom lost almost 80 pounds,
Good for
and she's
you.
doing amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that helped from
No
that.
cholesterol, no high blood pressure, no diabetes.
Good job, Maria. Wow, that
Yeah.
is, and that's hard.
Yeah, very
That
hard.
is, I mean, you want to talk about a fight.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be in a fight every day.
Yeah.
I went through that when I was diagnosed with prediabetes, and my wife said, "Okay, I'm putting you on a strict diet tomorrow." And she started serving me egg whites and spinach, and I'm like, "I don't want this. This is horrible." She's like, "You're going to eat that. You have no
Yeah.
choice." I was like a little kid, you know?
Yeah.
And then I started eating, and I was like, "Oh, this is not bad."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I like this." And then I started eating, like, instead of Chick-fil-A, like fried chicken, I was like eating their egg white,
Right.
you know, sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of time. And then obviously walking a lot. And before you
Right.
know it, I lost like initially like 40 pounds. So
Right.
it's hard to change that whole pattern, right?
Absolutely.
So good for you that you were able
Yeah.
to get your mom. 80 pounds is a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Wow.
They go on, they have their lifestyle's completely different. Like they go on walks, they eat really healthy, and that was a struggle. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like my dad, when they were living with me, he would bring Mexican bread, and I would throw it away.
No, not the pan dulce. Maria, what? You can't say that at the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce podcast. Did you hear that, Paul? She would throw away the Mexican pan dulce. Who does that?
All of it, all of it.
Are you
they
kidding?
weren't allowed to
The
have
conchas
anything.
were not
No,
allowed.
Nothing.
Get those out of here. Wow.
Then I started finding
But
my
it's
dad.
true. But
Yes.
it's true. It's carbs. It's sugar.
It's all of it.
I know
The
'cause I went through that.
tortas, The
Oh, yeah.
pozole, all of it.
It just tastes so good.
Yeah.
That sounds so good right now, huh,
I
Paul?
know.
Look at Paul with
I'm
it.
eating some right now.
Wow. So strict diet. Mom got better. Obviously, it helped probably dad too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How are your parents today? How are they doing? If we don't-
Great. I mean,
Okay.
my mom is still struggling mentally. She's still every day is different. But they go on walks. They live in
great.
Laguna Woods by me now, so it's very peaceful in there, and there's so much for them to do. I'm not sure if you've ever been in there, but they have like everything for them, like chair yoga. They have golf. They have, pickleball. They have all these activities every day, all day. So,
That's
they're
great.
doing great. They're eating healthy. My dad was a chef growing up, so he worked at the Marriott. So he cooked American food, healthy food, and then he worked at a military school in in Anaheim. So he's cooked all his life, but not healthy for all of us. And
Just because you're a chef and you know how to cook doesn't mean you're gonna feed yourself
Right,
good food. You know what I mean?
right. So yeah, it was a tough challenge. And just to kind of go back, I caught my dad having a whole pantry of all these sweets and like things
No!
in his trunk.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
And she threw it away.
I threw it away as soon as I found out.
Vámonos. Vámonos. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that your parents are doing much better. Paul has a question. Go ahead, Paul.
We're coming down to the end here. We want to make sure we talk about
Yes.
the event.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're
The
going to get
event.
into the event. I know we got so caught up in all this.
Yeah.
So but I did announce the event at the beginning twice.
Yes.
It's called Emotional Wellness Fiesta. Again, June 29th.
And can emotional wellness be a fun thing? Can it be a
Yes.
fiesta? Because it
Yes.
seems like a negative, down,
No,
depressing.
no, no, no.
And,
Well, I think it's important to also share that aside from the fact that you're going to have an amazing keynote speaker, Trent Shelton, who, by the way, if you don't know who he is, Google him, has millions of followers. Again, his book, Protect Your Peace, is a great book. And his message, right? Like you mentioned earlier. But most importantly, it's going to be at Santa College on the Saturday, 10 a.m., right? And I know Maria, before the show, mentioned that if there's anybody out there listening, depending on when you listen to the show, if you're interested in attending, right, leave us a comment
Yes.
or send us a message, and we'll connect you with Maria. And based on their attendance, because I know there's a lot of people that want to attend this, they're willing to help out some way, somehow.
Absolutely.
Get you to be part of the event. We definitely want to help anybody out there who's listening, who is maybe taking care of somebody who's dealing with these situations.
what's the regular cost and what how long is it? Is it all day or half a day?
There's no cost. It's free.
What?
Yeah.
What?
But there is obviously limited space
Yes.
to the event, and so I know that you all, and
Yes.
again, the committee, I know John Amador is involved with you doing all this. You guys are strategically, if I'm correct, trying to give certain amount of tickets to different organizations
Yes,
that
absolutely.
are already dealing with these situations,
Correct.
right?
Yes, we wanted to make it available to the people that are ready to be in these rooms. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, yes, it could be fun, and that's the one thing that I thought it had to be serious, and but it's not. Like, this whole journey has taught me that you can have fun, and that's what we want to have. We're gonna have a mariachi, we're gonna have Aztec dancers, and there's gonna be other like special performances.
I'm
as
feeling
well.
better already.
Well, and from my understanding, you're also going to have different vendors,
Yes,
right?
different
that are
resources in our
resources,
community.
right?
Yeah.
That are offering different services
Absolutely.
in this area that can help with, again, emotional wellness,
Yes.
quote unquote, mental health situations.
Yes.
And I think, the pandemic, maybe as unfortunate as it was, it brought to light these topics.
Yes.
So with that, hopefully that helped to somewhat, get the wording out as far as this, stigma. Let's
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's not be afraid. Look, we're talking
Right.
about it today.
Absolutely.
There's a huge event happening.
Yeah.
300-400 people
Yeah.
will attend this, right? Kompashion Foundation,
Yes.
which is your foundation. What's the goal? What's after this, or what do you want from it in the future? In case anybody's listening that wants to support or be a part of it or join you,
Right.
what would be the goal?
The big mission is to bring families and people to family and friends together, because I learned that with my own journey that a lot of times we stay away because of the fear of saying the wrong thing or not knowing what to say. So my mission is to give you a gift to give someone else that is struggling, to get them out of that dark place and bring them community and resources to get out of that.
That's awesome.
And spell compassion, because you do it
Yes.
creatively.
It's Kompashion.
Yes.
So it's like fashion.
Yes.
Come.
And the logo is
Compassion.
really cool. It's a heart, but it's like two hands,
Yes.
which I've always loved because my dad always said, "Una mano no se lava sola." One hand cannot wash
I
itself.
love that. It's beautiful.
And it's a quote that I have on my fraternity jacket, but it's an old Mexican like quote, growing up, and it's so true. Your logo of the two hands, it's like you're helping other people,
Yeah,
right?
we're in this together. This life is hard, but it doesn't have to be if we're together. And I think of it as a mastermind. If we are speaking of what we're going through, we can help each other and learn what the other person is learning, and vice versa. So we can help each other through the tough times. It doesn't have to be.
And I think that's what's going to be
Hard.
most beautiful about this event. I think the fact that you're bringing people together, and to your point, will speak out. This is the challenge I'm facing. These are the challenges I'm seeing. And hopefully they find those resources that day.
Yeah.
And by the way, I mean, Trent Shelton is an amazing motivational speaker, right?
Absolutely. I mean, he is the reason why I found peace for my family. All the tools that I learned were from him. So I'm the reason why I wanted to bring him to Santa Ana, because I knew that he can impact so many lives and help them find their peace. Because at the end of the day, that's all we want. That's everybody wants peace.
And what else goes on during the day? Is this just a talk that he gives, or a workshop that he gives where you do things?
There's
or
going to
are
be
there other-
different parts
Yeah.
to the event, right?
So it's seminar style. We're going to have, like I mentioned, mariachi and like Aztec dancers. And then we'll have a panelist of specialists that will speak
That
about.
doesn't seem like any seminar I've been to with mariachis and Aztec
It's
dancers.
different.
Paul,
I'm telling
Paul,
you. It's going to be
this
fun.
is the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
We have a party for everything.
Yes,
right?
Oh, my
everything we do, we make it fun.
Yes.
I've been to lots
And
of
if we,
seminars.
and
They're
if
not
we
fun.
can have mariachi there, we're gonna have mariachi there. And most importantly for everybody listening, again, go to kompashion.com. Probably you have I'm assuming,
Yes.
right, foundation page.
But spell it one last time.
Kompashion.
Yes.
Or you can reach out to us wherever you're watching us or listening to us. Leave a comment. But most importantly, please know this is going to be June 29th, 10 a.m., Santa Ana College. You must RSVP. So if you want to attend, reach out to us because
And
there
what are
will
the
limit
hours?
of space.
What are the hours?
10 to 2.
10 to 2. Yes.
And it's free.
And it's free.
FREE.
But,
Yes, free.
but they must RSVP
Yes.
Got it.
because of the limited space. And we want to give a big shout out and thank Santa Ana College.
Yes, Santa
They're
Ana
one of our
College.
partners of our chamber, and they were so kind to say, hey, let's do it here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Finding a venue is always difficult when you're doing events, and they were so kind to do that.
Yes.
And to all the sponsors and all the supporters of this event, right?
Yes. I mean, everyone involved. There's so many people involved.
Yes.
The Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, John, David have been amazing.
Yeah. Our health and wellness community, I know there's some
yes,
people there that are
all of you guys have been amazing.
involved. So
And the sponsors, Melissa's produce company. We got Cal Optima, Optum,
yes,
Mint Insurance.
yes.
Who else do we?
And I know Javier's Restaurant's involved somehow too.
Yeah,
They're good
yeah.
friends of yours, right?
Yeah.
So thank you to them too, right?
Yeah,
They've been a
absolutely.
great supporter and resource. I know we've run out of time. I just want to make sure we've touched on everything. Again, this is Emotional Wellness Fiesta. Keynote speaker, Mr. Trent Shelton. Save the date. It's no longer save the date because it's coming up pretty fast. It's June 29th. And you must RSVP.
And where did they RSVP? A phone or a website?
They can go to kompashion.com, right, and send you a message, or
They have
also
to send us a message. Yeah.
Yes.
So we're doing it through Eventbrite, and each organization is getting a certain amount of tickets. But if there's somebody listening that is struggling and wants to be a part of this, reach out to us, reach out to the chamber, reach out to myself, and we'd be happy to.
So how do
invite
they
them.
reach out to you?
Maria Lou 8 is my Instagram.
yes,
Say that again.
Maria Lou 8
So
is my
spell that.
Instagram.
Maria Maria,
A.
and then
LU.
LU, and then the number 8.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can send her a message on Instagram. Folks, for those of you listening, just keep this in mind. If you know of a caregiver or somebody who's dealing with somebody with a situation like that, they most likely will be the person that we would want there to see all these resources and hear all these things that are going to be shared that day. And so, Maria, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for doing this amazing event. Congratulations to you, to John, to the whole committee, and we wish you all the best. And hopefully you can come back on the show and give us an update afterwards.
Yeah, definitely.
But we hope to see more events like this and overcome the stigma, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All
I'm
right.
excited.
Well,
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you all for tuning in again to our community podcast show powered by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Please don't forget to follow us at OCHCC, which is our Instagram, or our Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce on Facebook, as many of you are probably watching us now. And again, thank you for all the support, and we'll see you at our next show. Mr. Paul Roberts, take it away.
Well, there you have it. One more reason to tune in each and every time for our community. Our community, the Hispanic business community, brought to you by the Orange County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.